And then also, though, your connections with so many different people. You can hear somebody say, here's my challenge in business, or really honestly, business, personal, anything really. And you can just hone right into it and say, you need to talk to this person, or I need to put you in touch with that person. And how does that come about for
How does
you?
my crazy brain work?
Yeah.
Well, for starters, when I was growing up, my dad his big mantra was, you never burn a bridge. And it's not always what you know, sometimes it's who. And so I really prided myself on my network and who was in my network and how I could serve the network. And so I love to connect. I'm a connector. That was one of my just sort of, I don't know, born in talents, I would say. But then with Chicken Soup for the Soul, because it was a very tough ride, we didn't get published for 4 years. Everybody turned us down. We didn't make any money for the first few years that we had been published. So I had to think about every opportunity and every place that we could sell books and where were people going to go that still wanted Chicken Soup for the Soul but weren't in a bookstore. And I sold them in hair salons and nail shops and dealerships and gas stations. Any place I could go to find a spot where somebody could actually have a chicken soup book, I would make sure it got in there. And so I think my brain just started processing very early on problem solution. And so, I was always really curious, like, well, what if this could work and what would it look like? So I was never afraid of the unknown. I was always very curious, which I think is a good thing most of the time, but
Uh-huh.
not always. You can drive other people that need to know totally insane, which I've done on several occasions. So I think that was kind of my training ground for that. And so now when I work with an author or a speaker or even somebody in business, I can look at, all right, what are your problems? And let's look at what are your numbers and how do we back into those numbers and how do we increase those by getting creative? Or if you're an author and you're writing a book, how are you going to talk about your book? What does your marketing plan look like? What's your why behind it? Why are you passionate? What stories are you going to share? So I just started doing more and more of that. And I'm actually pretty good at it and I love it. And I just love helping other people. So I always say, if you have a problem, come to my house because I'll help you create a solution. It's my favorite thing to do.